Hello and welcome to CNR Extra here on Citi TV. My name is Nanatufu Boateng. We're broadcasting live from our studios at number 5 Owula Hansen Lane at Tesano in Accra. Coming up. MedSec launches fact-finding committee to investigate fishermen's death at Tema Harbour, with report expected to be submitted within 7 days. Also coming up, authorities begin probe into Laboni Senior High School chaos.
Investigations have commenced because it's within the school. They brought the situation under control even before the police came in.
Still ahead, Ministry of Education warns students to strictly comply with Code of Discipline required or face consequences following a Adisado College incident.
We want to signal that this must become a paradigm shift and a resolution on the part of every student that never again will bullying be countenanced. Bullying must be over, it must be a thing of the past.
And later, jury members of Wa High Court declare indefinite strike over unpaid sitting and attendance allowances.
We have complained and they've not heard. They said they've heard, they have not taken any action. And yesterday we had to lay down our tools. We refuse to attend court.
Thank you for joining us. The show is interactive, and so we'd like to hear from you. The WhatsApp number is on your screens at 0204447033. We're also streaming live on Facebook, and so you can join us with your thoughts, your comments, and your contributions. Joining me in studio this morning is Latte. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Anatufu.
Good to see you.
It's a Friday. Good to see you too.
Yeah, the weekend is beckoning, huh?
I tell you.
Great stuff. But let's move on to a very first story. Not so exciting as we are in the studio because the Tema Metropolitan Security Council has instituted an investigation into the death of 2 fishermen in the area. The Tema Metropolitan Security Council has set up a fact-finding committee to probe circumstances leading to the death of 2 fishermen at the Tema Harbour. According to the MCE of Tema, the committee has 7 days to submit its report for further action. Fred Duo has more in the following report.
The Metropolitan Chief Executive, who doubles as the chairman of MedSec in Tema, Yohani Amashite, in an interview with Citi News, confirmed the death of 2 fishermen at the Tema Harbour in the morning of Thursday, July 27, 2023. According to varied accounts, 2 fishermen died at sea after an alleged encounter with security patrol team from the Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority.
Information was taken from all the stakeholders were conflicting information, so clearly it's a little bit difficult for us to really understand exactly what happened, because normally, during close season, around this time, there's a special task force. The task force actually comprises of DPH security, the Navy, the police. All of them go together to ensure that this season activity is actually enforced. But interrogating all of them, there were a lot of, let's say, discrepancies or differences in all the narrations that came. And so because of that, we deemed it necessary to form an independent fact-finding committee among MESEC, the committee involved. 5 on that committee, we have NIB, we have CID, we have NADMO, we have FIRE, and then we have the Assembly Council himself to be on this committee. And then they have a 7 days period as part of that sense of reference so that we can have a report.
But in a press statement, the Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority debunked the allegation, describing it as outright untruth The unfortunate event took place during the annual closed fishing season, which was recently announced in consideration of the annual Homowo Festival celebrated by the people of the Greater Accra region. Some aggrieved residents spoke to the media.
na meka bo hestage bullet ni nu ewo oba fun na kanani ni oka chon no na kan na fe gbele sane no ene won fo won che Ghana bi ko nu pa ife ka je magin fe bi na meka me ya wo mi na me botemi ame ha wo eja ka je mi hye ni papa no gbe no ameka we chon wo ya wakusum mi no anu wo ya wakusum mi ni afi na che echo hi ewie omo bia na lele lo be no ni lo be gbe mo akeshin legend p officer li aka game ya ni ne kanyo na mi game fe kusun mo be kanyi na kan ne be wo game po be crosses ni aje ya ne kanyo na no aka ha wo boni afi koni won nagbe mo tun wo kusun ni shika ne ke be ne crosses ni ene ha wo be ga be fe wo we aka crosses ne je no ko gbonyo ni mo ne shi bon be ne coming kan ha wo aka wo game fe eji bad kan ha wo ene wo government akwa mi ha wo no hebe ka be fe wo yu ya shi wo we watching crosses na mene no ne ka ba ne wo we aka moko e pla shi wo yu aka gbomo adesa egbo je moko me menyo mene wona me ni gbo wole no na mba chu ame ha Ghana ka me weku ka mana me jemi no afa na agba ha wo ka je ba hi ni crosses ne hi ne ba je ni wo ba gbo e be crosses ne atake ha wo that's it.
Meanwhile, the Member of Parliament for the Tema East constituency, Isaac Ashai Odampton, is set to present a statement in Parliament calling for a thorough investigation into the circumstances surrounding the death of the two fishermen.
Well, even before we go into the cracks of the issues, our deepest condolences to the families of the deceased. I mean, no human being deserves to lose their lives in this manner. It's quite sad. But there are a number of angles, so many legs to this story. There's an accusation. Well, it's established that a patrol boat rammed the canoe or the fishing boat, right? And then there's accusation that this particular patrol boat belonged to the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. The GPHA has issued a statement to deny same. And then also we understand there's accusations of these fishermen on boarding a canoe, about 12 of them, to go fishing despite the close season. Then there's the counter saying that they were only performing homo rituals in the sea. So I mean that really the investigations should be expedited so that we know exactly what happened.
Exactly, Nana Tufo, especially because of the kind of conflicting reports we are getting. But be as it may, first let's express our commiserations to the bereaved family and also put the issues in perspective. Because if it's close season, I was expecting that proper supervision would actually be in place to ensure that people do not go to sea as against the law. And for me, two wrongs do not make a right. And so if somebody has broken the law, I would have expected that, well, the authorities who are actually trying to ensure that the law is adhered to the latter would actually manage things properly, other than, you know, because if you listen to one of the eyewitnesses of the incident or one of the residents, she was actually concerned because they've been made to understand that there is a camera or a system put in place to ensure that every activity on the sea is actually being monitored. And
but really, is it there? Perhaps it's just something they've told them to scare them.
Exactly, but if that is the allegation this particular resident is making, the authorities must also prove beyond reasonable doubt that this actually did not happen. And so for me, it brings into question the kind of intervention we actually put in place during the close season. Be as it may, if it's a ritual that they are performing, at least traditional authorities should also come and explain further.
Exactly.
But
because
if
we understand this ritual was actually sanctioned by the Tema traditional
authorities, so they should come further and then probe the matter. And also the kind of intervention, just like I was saying, if we're having closed season and you realize that the non-enforcement of this closed season actually a myriad of factors, the lack of enforcement and also the absence of, livelihood support system for some of these fishermen when the sea is actually closed. So it's a mixed bag of, issues, and it's good that the municipal authorities have actually instituted that committee to ensure that we see to the end of this particular issue exactly what's really happening and how they intend to deal with it going forward, because it is the narration of residents and also the fisher folks and also the narration of the Ghana Port and Harbour Authority vis-a-vis. We don't even know exactly what the issue is because it's early days yet. And so it's a sad one. It's a sad one that it's not just one life but two lives. And in a manner like this, it's actually
quite devastating.
Quite devastating.
Yeah. And then, of course, we need to intensify monitoring on our waters because, you see, quite recently we've lost some 2 fishing observers.
Yeah.
If you'd remember, these are not fisher folk. These are observers on fishing vessels. And we've lost about 2 of them, and to date, we don't know the end of that matter. So it's really important that we intensify monitoring on our territorial waters.
Even the control systems that they even put in place, the effectiveness and efficiency of these control systems, because every now and then we get to hear about issues like this. We do not get to see the end of these issues, and it's like a repeated cycle, vicious cycle. Yeah. We talk about it and then we go to sleep, and losing life on in such a manner is actually traumatizing, especially because of the kind of things we see on our marine waters. And so it's a difficult moment for the fishermen.
It really is. It really
in
is.
Tema here and its environs as well.
And
as
if really it's established that they were performing a ritual sanctioned by the council, then it makes the situation even more dirtier.
It's surprising because look, the Homo rituals we are made to understand even happens during odd hours, and so is it only the fishermen? Where were the traditional authorities? Did they inform community members that something like this is going to happen? For which reason? If authorities see anything that is not supposed to be, they might even reason and say that, well, it's as a result of. So like I said, it's a mixed bag of action. So we just wait for the investigation from the committee that has been instituted by the municipal authorities, and then we see the way forward. So
well, an executive member of the interim committee for the National Fisheries Association has been speaking. He says the youth in the community are livid because they are sticking to the story that the fishermen were out on sea performing a ritual. Well, we hope that the investigations will be expedited and then all this matter will be put to a rest. Let's take you to the education sector. And it seems like we are not getting any good news from that sector in recent times. It was at Disadel College. It still is at Disadel College. But now Laboni Senior High School wants to take over. There was some chaos on the campus of the school. Let's take a look at this. The Ladadekotopon Municipal Education Directorate has initiated investigations into the disturbance that occurred on Wednesday at Laboni Senior High School. Viral videos captured chaotic scenes on campus as police fired warning shots to restore order. Here's a report on the incident by Citi News' correspondent Daniel Sakite and read by Kweku Eduamansa.
On Wednesday between 3 and 3:30 p.m., Laboni Senior High School experienced a disturbance that plunged the campus into chaos. According to reports, individuals believed to be from the nearby township stormed the school brandishing cutlasses and other weapons. They were allegedly seeking retribution against a senior student who had reportedly assaulted a junior within the school premises. The situation escalated to the point where the intervention of the police was necessary to bring about calm. Residents living in close proximity to the school have been recounting the events to Citi News, shedding light on the harrowing incident.
Around. And who say boys in good sick kind in Diane Boba by the name thereby. Anna Mustazi say boy. What is the kind of crowd boy? By the incident by a bassa. By boy in the Omobonopan, the other born a bony granny, craft into Mupiano, and Amuka on Cremse, Julo, say Cronfo, and a student back over in a kaze or Muyashi by Junior Bakuna or Mabono. I was school one on Nako Frey, Town Boy Saba, some of Senior.
At the time of Citi News' visit to the school, tranquility had been restored and normal school activities were underway. Some of the students who had witnessed the disturbing events shared their traumatic experiences with Citi News. They revealed that the police had visited the school earlier in the afternoon to assess the security situation on campus.
People were running and I followed them. Then they came in front of their canteen. It just happened too fast. Like, I was just running, I was panicking. Then the police cars came. They gave one warning shot. And then that was it.
Everything was cool. No panics, no anything. No random news that they'll be coming back. So everything was okay. And the police came there this afternoon to check whether everything is cool.
So at first, I only saw like 3 to 5. But when I was like leaving the park, then more Laboni students came like from the school to the park, and they were shouting like for us to like leave the park. They really scared us. That's what got us running.
In the aftermath of the incident, the school authorities have remained tight-lipped about the matter. However, Citi News observed that the school administrators were engaged in a crucial meeting with Habiba Kotoma, the director of the Ladadekotopon Municipal Education. During an interview with Citi News, Madam Habiba Kotoma, the Ladadekotopon Municipal Education Director, refuted reports suggesting that the school was under siege by members of the township. She confirmed that investigations into the matter had already commenced.
We haven't gathered enough facts. Like I told you earlier, we have spoken with only the junior student. So tomorrow we will meet with the senior student, and then we can hear his side of the story, and then we can get the true facts of the incident. As at now, it's one-sided. Oh, he said he bought packs of food, and the senior seized them, and then that got him angry. So he decided to fight with the senior. Town folks were not involved. It's the students, his friends came to help him. That's all. The students also, but Form 2s who are on break now. Yes, investigations have commenced because it's within the school. They brought the situation under control even before the police came.
It's good that investigations have commenced, but forgive me, Madam MC, but I don't agree with you. You see, students will riot against authorities in such a manner, but won't fight against themselves at such a large scale as we're seeing, to the extent that you would have police coming to the school, fire warning shots to dispel students who are fighting against themselves. Now, I mean, we've all been through the system. If two students are fighting, the best is we'll go and cheer them on like we saw in that Adisado College video, or we go and separate. But we don't go into as if there are rival gangs on campus fighting against each other. Clearly, there's an element of town folk involved in this issue.
This is an escalated one, and even to the point that town folks were actually involved. Yeah. It's something that I also share in, because look, this one was quite escalated, and if you look at the manner in which the students were rioting, you realize that it was some form of external, force that pushed them to that particular level. And it's quite frustrating. And when I got to hear about this particular, it gave credence to the fact that, well, school authorities are usually helpless in trying to deal with some of the issues that students bring up. So the student will want to take the law into his or her own hands, and then, but for what will push a student, if the student knows very well that school authorities will be able to deal with this particular matter, he or she will be reporting. But if he or she realizes that, well, if I go and report and nothing really is done, then I might have to, find an alternative personally. And then, because I remember even when we were in senior high school, sometimes it happens. People threaten you that if you misbehave, I'll go in and call my town boys to come and deal with you. It happens every now and then. And it's because they know that, well, school authorities are not going to be, school authorities are actually helpless. And you realize when this Adisado College issue even happened, parents were saying that law has actually broken down in most of our senior high schools, the moral decadence and all that. It's really a problem. And so for me, these two issues, the Adisado College issue and also the Laboni issue, should send strong signals to, the Ghana Education Service, the Ministry of education as well, that the time is right for us to reconsider some of the issues we have in our senior high school.
On that score, hold your thoughts. The Deputy Minister for Education visited Adisado College. He issued a stern warning. Let's listen to him. The Ministry of Education has issued a stern warning to students in senior high schools to strictly abide by the Code of Discipline or face the consequences thereof. Deputy Minister of Education, Reverend John Ntim-Fojo, sent the signal after a visit to Adisado College following an incident of violence that has since caught national attention. He explained that the ministry has provided psychosocial support for all students present during the incident and called on management of the school to cooperate with law enforcement agencies in their investigations.
Beyond Adisado College, we also want to signal to all the over 900 SHS and TVET institutions on all schools under the management of GS and the Ministry of Education to strictly abide by the code of discipline that we have in the school, and rules ought to be obeyed. We want to signal that this must become a paradigm shift and a resolution on the part of every student that never again will bullying be countenanced. Bullying must be over, it must be a thing of the past, and any other related acts of indiscipline must be a thing of the past. There are consequences for every action. There are repercussions for every rule that is breached, and also to indicate strongly that we have met with the teaching staff and the management of the school. We've had very, very important discussions and appreciated their work done so far, but also pointed out the deficiencies that may have led to this incident, and to remind them to ensure that no stone is left unturned, and that they should heighten the supervision, the monitoring.
So we have two not so academic issues, on actually three, because there's also the WA incident where some students attacked a master of the school. And I hear people still defending their schools. But I mean, these are all emotional arguments
because of the
clearly discipline, law and order has broken down in our schools, especially the senior high schools and the TVETs.
I think rules and regulations should be given a second look and also codify some of these things, because look, if you take a normal prospectus or code of conduct of any school, they'll tell you that, well, when you fight you'll be expelled. But have they actually told us the processes that are available if such of these
not
things
to
happen?
cut you, but it is these processes that is causing some of these challenges. The GES as it is now has rendered the managers or the authorities in these schools toothless bulldogs. You understand? They've taken so much power from them. So even if a master wants to punish a student
for fear of interdiction,
more or less you have to apply to the GES to sanction the punishment.
Which is a problem, because the school is an agent of socialization. Yes. Parents have actually taken their wards in there for care. And so if these managers are unable to take any action at quote-unquote the local level, but anything that they want to do, they must seek, clarification or permission from the. It's quite problematic in that. I get that sense perfectly. But also, let us also say that it is time school authorities look at issues based on the real time, because sometimes I know, because when I was in school, for example, we had this house that the house master is actually on the floor. But the kind of misbehavior and misconduct of the students will actually push the house master away from the house, and then it will leave the students doing their own thing. And so and also the issue that most of these masters are not on campus, and so they are unable to supervise. Students have outnumbered them, the huge numbers and all that. It's an extreme to say that Free Senior High School is to blame for this, but also, in as much as we increase the numbers, we should also make provisions to, pushing the teachers.
That's what I was going to go to,
because some of these things.
That's the danger with the numbers we're seeing in the schools now. If you're having about 5,000, say 3,000 students on campus at a particular time, maximum you're getting is about 12, 15 teachers.
The bungalows are not even enough.
Clearly, this morning we are picking reports somewhere that a headmaster is sleeping in a classroom because there is no bungalow for the headmaster. And so he's appealing to authorities to construct a bungalow. I mean, we need to be serious with our education. If we say we are investing in our human resource as our best natural resource, then we should be paying more attention to the sector than what we are doing.
Exactly so. And so resources that are actually committed to some of these educational interventions should also consider how, teachers will be equipped, how teachers will be empowered to handle some of the things they face in the school. And perhaps let's have a national dialogue. Let's teachers meet. Let headmasters meet. What are the issues they are facing? Have the rules that were put in place in the past, have they outlived their usefulness? Is it time for us to make some amendment changes? All of these dynamics should actually be looked at, because it appears that year in, year out, one school comes into the news for one reason or the other. And the issue are usually in similar nature. If it is not a student who has taken the law into their own hands, actually trying to kill, quote unquote, a student, or actually, there are times students even get upset and then say that they are going on rampage, they are not eating dining hall foods and all those issues. I mean, the issues in our senior high school. The dining hall foods now, I mean, the food level is not enough. It's not and so it's interesting to hear Angel Kabono, for example, say that now the issue of social gatherings being compulsory, the school authorities are able to enforce that, because look, if you say that you can't deal with the numbers, the food is not quantity is not enough. It's not enough. And so some of these things really, because
and it looks like the issues alternate. A year ago, we were dealing with tertiary students who were rampaging.
Lagos.
A year before, we dealt with senior high school students who said the exam was too difficult and they are mad at the president. I mean, we really need to move into still some level of discipline.
These are the students who actually migrate into the tertiary institution. So I get the sense that you are making that or they alternate. It's quite a problem. As far as our educational system is concerned, the authorities should not be paying lip service. We know that the Deputy Minister of Education has been to Addis Ababa College, for example. Let's see some proper action, and then we move on from here.
This should actually strike a national conversation on our education in the country, because there's the infrastructure bit, whether you like it or not. There's the infrastructure challenge, there's the discipline challenge, there is the food challenge, there's the academics itself, there's the numbers, I mean, and of course provision for the teachers to ensure that they are in the right frame of mind, not just to, educate, but also holistically to take care of the students who are entrusted in their hands.
Just not to pass the exam, but building human beings for society.
Exactly. This is still CNR Extra here on Citi TV, still ahead. Jury members of Wa High Court declare indefinite strike over unpaid sit-in and attendance allowances. We'll tell you more shortly. Don't go away. Welcome back. Grateful that you stayed on with us. Let's take you to the Upper West region where justice delivery may be in limbo due to a declaration of strike by some jurors of the Wa Court. Jury members of the Wa High Court have declared an indefinite strike over their sit-in and attendance allowances arrears. The group, at a media encounter in Wa to announce their decision, complained that they have been working for close to 2 years without pay, adding that several appeals to the government to release the allowances were unsuccessful. Citi News' Latif Mahama has more in the following report.
According to jury members of the Wa High Court, they started unfolding their intention of Tuesday's strike action last Monday when they boycotted criminal proceedings at the Wa High Court, anticipating that the government would have addressed their concerns. 3 days after the boycott, the group, numbering about 25, this morning massed up at the forecourt of the Wa High Court, where they declared an indefinite strike action in protest of the non-payment of their 21 months allowances.
We have informed my Lord, the High Court judge, several, and then the judicial administrator and all those people concerned about their failure to honor this our payment. Especially most of us come from the communities which is a bit distant from the High Court, and they take means of transport and come to the court as and when there's sitting. So we have complained and they've not heard. They said they've heard, they have not taken any action, and yesterday we have to lay down our tools. We refuse to attend court. We attended all right, but we made it clear that we are not disrespecting the High Court, we are not disrespecting the lawyers present, and we are not disrespecting the people in the courtroom. So we apologize for our actions that we are going to take, but that we have to lay down our tools until our concerns are met. We can't tell why they have decided to pay all the other regions and left out Upper West region. So we think that we are undermined.
Lawyers and accused persons who came to the Wa High Court on Tuesday morning to defend their cases were disappointed when the court had to make adjournments due to the absence of the jury.
If we come and they are not there, there's no way the court is going to proceed, because the jurors, we say they are the trials of facts. And of course, at the end of the day, when the trial comes to a conclusion, it is the jurors that will, after the summing up of the law, the facts, the jurors will come out with a verdict, of which the judge will now make the pronouncement or the sentence. But if in the instance case that the people of Upper West, they've not been paid, the jurors here, the case cannot go on a trial, even at all. Anytime we come and even one juror is absent, the case cannot proceed.
A principal state attorney at the Upper West Regional Office of the Attorney General Department says the strike action will have dire consequences on justice delivery in the region, and appealed to the government to address the concerns of the jury.
I cannot even begin to explain how I feel about this strike, because we are getting close to the end of the legal year. We have so many cases, assize cases. What I mean is that there are a number of cases we are trying on indictment. There are a number of jury trials that are at the closing stages. So what this means is that we would have to adjourn all of them to next year. So it means that people who have been following us and people who are agitated, people who are angry that their cases are too slow, I don't know what they are going to do now, because now we don't know what is on. If for 20 months they have not been paid, you can see that they also have a case. We've engaged all this while. Jurors all over the country, some parts of the country were on strike, but here we were able to convince them that times are too difficult for everybody, so they should continue working in anticipation that maybe government or judicial service will come to their aid, and then we'll continue. So they have done well. I cannot fault them at this stage, because I've engaged them severally from the beginning of the legal year, October last year.
I simply do not understand why we're still having such challenges. Okay, these are jurors who sit to listen to cases and determine whether or not a person is guilty. And if these people are not in the right frame of mind, because, listen, if you listen to the inserts in that particular report we just saw, people travel distances to come to the court. I could be using that time to be productive somewhere to get a fee. You understand? And this is over what? 20 months?
21 months, we are made to understand. And when you get to hear some of these stories, you really question our quest, building a strong judiciary, because some of these petty issues actually, quote unquote, to make nonsense of that particular push. And it's not only in the Upper West region. No. We've heard in the Ashanti region, the Western region, jurors, and it appears declaring a strike is the only language the government understands. And this is a government that is actually struggling fiscally because of some of the things that have actually occurred in the economy. And so if you have workers day in, day out trying to, push for monies that they've actually worked for months, 21 months, almost 2 years, how do you expect these persons to go about their daily activities and ensure proper, delivery of justice? And so it gives room for, all manner of things if care is not taken. And how critical, judicial services are in our part of the world. And for government to deny these people the amount of money that is due them, it's quite worrying. And I must say that government should only do what is expected of them. They should pay their monies owed these persons so that we can have, some form of closure to some of these things as far as our legal issues.
For me, I'm saddened by this story because we have a new CJ, a Chief Justice, who in her earliest of days has gotten the president to assent to the new salary structure for the judicial service staff.
In fact, she was actually pushing for proper ethics and productivity in, you know, employment.
And then jurors have been pushed to the tail end of the ladder.
In fact, when Justice Gertrude Tokon was actually named as Chief Justice, one of the things a lot of people were actually looking for was how she's going to deal with issues as far as jurors are concerned. And so it's quite sad that these issues are actually creeping in.
Let's still stay in the courts. Let's take you to the Apex Court. James Gyakye is still in court, and it looks like his legal team really are employing some legal tactics to have their way in court. Now, the Supreme Court has dismissed an application by James Gyakye seeking to quash a decision of the High Court not to allow for further disclosures in the criminal trial he's facing. His lawyers filed a certiorari application on grounds that the trial judge erred when she denied them an application to direct the Attorney General's office to make further disclosures, but the court dismissed it as without merit. There is more in the following report.
Gyakye's lawyers before a 5-member Supreme Court, presided over by Chief Justice Gertrude Tokon, contended that the judge erred on grounds that his initial application at the High Court was not heard. He further argued that the judge took the decision by relying on a document produced by the Attorney General, which was not deposed to by an affidavit. The said document was a reply from the Attorney General indicating that his office has no further disclosures to make. Justin Tariwaja, who represented Gyakye, was of the view that the High Court ought not to have relied on this document because it was not deposed to in an affidavit. Attorney General Godfred Yeboadame, however, opposed the certiorari application, describing it as incomplete. It was his view that while the application is by Gyakye, the deposition in support was by the lawyer without any proof of authority. This, in his view, was against the rules of court and makes the application incomplete. He also debunked claims that Gyakye's lawyers were not allowed to move the application. He made reference to excerpts of arguments at the High Court by both his deputy and lawyers of Gyakye to buttress this point. The court, after considering the arguments, dismissed the application as without merit. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court has raised concerns about the continuous absence of James Gyakye at the Apex Court when he files applications. At the start of proceedings, the court observed that Gyakye was absent. Chief Justice Gertrude Tokon then noted that she has observed a pattern where the Assam North MP files an application and does not appear on the date of hearing the application. She then questioned the lawyer, Justin Tariwaja, on the whereabouts of his client. Mr. Tariwaja, who could not provide any answer, then apologized. A member of the bench, Justice Amadou Tanko, then noted that this situation is attributed to the practice where counsel for Gyakye deposes to the affidavit in support of the application on behalf of his client. He used the opportunity to caution lawyers that this practice may land them in trouble. Lawyer of Gyakye promised to advise his client accordingly. At the High Court, the letter of the Chief Justice on whether the case involving minority leader should be transferred from the Court of Justice Efia-Sewa Saribuche was received. The Chief Justice in the letter refused a request by the third accused person in the trial, Richard Jakpa. The request to the Chief Justice followed an event that ensued between the trial judge and the accused person, Richard Jakpa. Richard Jakpa, who is a businessman, made an outburst in court after he was nearly denied from using the washroom. The judge, who found the outburst unacceptable, cautioned the accused and directed him not to repeat such an act, as that could lead him being held in contempt. Dissatisfied with the encounter, Mr. Jakpa applied to the Chief Justice to administratively reassign the case. But in a letter read in court on Thursday from the Chief Justice, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Tokon refused the request.
I find the legal team of James Gyakye very interesting. And from where I sit as a non-legal person, it's, I don't know, it brings me so much excitement to see how things are playing out in court. I mean, from where his original case started from, somewhere in the central region, now we are at the Apex Court, and we keep going in and out. Meanwhile, there's a substantive case at the High Court. It's just beautiful how they are playing it out in court.
Interesting how you also find it very fascinating. But for me, I do not want to be in the shoes of the legal team of James Jachikwesi.
Well, it's tough. It's tough. But that's why they are legal luminaries.
That's why they are legal luminaries. And so they have to, defend their clients. But also yesterday, the Chief Justice was actually raising concerns over the continuous absence of, James Jachikwesi as far as his case is concerned. Anytime he's said to have filed some applications, he's not in court. And so yesterday, the legal team was actually having difficulties explaining the continuous absence, for which reason they had to apologize on his behalf. I do not know if that actually has an influence in some of the issues that are going on in court. But we are still keeping an eye on this particular story. We want to see how it will end. James Jachikwesi, you remember, most of the issues have actually been quashed or, been dismissed as far as the case is concerned. You remember just earlier this week, his application considering his expunged name from Parliament was actually another matter. It was dismissed and all that. So, I mean, it's a difficult and tough moment for, the legal representatives of James Jachikwesi. But as they say, the lawyers actually know how to deal with some of these issues. So definitely we are going to see an end in sight for this particular issue.
All right, this is still CNR Extra here on Citi TV, still to come. Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin insists that the recreational use of Indian hemp in Ghana is still illegal. We'll tell you more shortly. Stay with us.
Citi TV is live on DSTV. Find us on channel 363. On GoTV, we're on channel 117. And on HD Plus, get us on channel 108. On a digital TV, run a new search. But take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Citi TV. Citi TV can be accessed on any free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and HD Plus boxes. Citi TV, it's your world.
Grateful that you stayed on with us. Now, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has had a cause for concern and really has moved to give some clarity to the passage of the Narcotics Control Commission Amendment Bill of 2023. Let's get the clarification in this video. The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has complained about what he deems as the misinterpretation of the effect of the passage of the Narcotics Control Commission Amendment Bill 2023. Parliament on July 12 passed the Narcotics Control Commission Amendment Bill 2023, bringing significant changes to the cultivation of cannabis for industrial and medicinal purposes. However, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, says the passage is being construed to mean the recreational use of weed has been legalized. Citi News' Nia Ikwe has more in the following.
Parliament on July 12, 2023 passed the Narcotics Control Commission Amendment Bill 2023, which offered the Minister of Interior the authority to issue special licenses for the cultivation of cannabis for industrial and medicinal purposes. In an official communication on the floor of Parliament on Thursday, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, bemoaned what he deemed as misinterpretation of the passage of the bill by the public. He clarified that the passage of the bill did not seek to legalize the use of cannabis for recreational purposes and urged the law enforcement agency to crack down on persons who violate the law.
The House remains steadfast in its commitment to enforcing the law against the unlawful use of the cannabis. We will continue to act in a manner that upholds the Constitution, serves the public interest, and advances our nation's development. I want to implore all members of Parliament, and indeed all Ghanaians, to share and communicate this understanding so as to dispel misinterpretations and misinformation and foster a more informed dialogue on the matter. I reiterate, the cultivation, the manufacture, the processing, the production, the sale, the distribution, or the use of narcotic plants, including weed, marijuana, or synthetic or semi-synthetic drug, without lawful authority remains an offense and is punishable by our laws. I therefore call on the law enforcement authorities to continue to investigate, to prosecute, and to commit offenders to the sanctions of the law.
Many women have been murdered or attacked after accusations of witchcraft. In 2010, the case of a 72-year-old woman.
Well, so the speaker really had to clarify that, because it looks as though there was some misconception with respect to the passage of the Narcotics Control Commission Amendment Bill of 2023. What the bill seeks to do is to afford the Minister for the Interior the authority to issue license for the cultivation of certain kinds. You see, that's where the clarification is, of cannabis or Indian hemp, for industrial and medicinal purposes only. So till date, no amendment has been made on the recreational use of cannabis or cannabis-related products.
In this particular kind we are talking about is one that does not contain more than 0.3 THC.
Exactly.
And so for medicinal and so for me, the clarification of the speaker actually means that well, maybe the sensitization has actually not gone down well with know, the public, and so maybe Parliament and also the law enforcement agencies must try as much as possible to find ways of educating the public so that people will not misconstrue it if they are already not misconstruing it to mean that well cannabis can now be used for recreational purposes. And even the cultivation, it is not as if you just wake up and then go ahead and cultivate without the proper permission or authorization. So these are some of the nuances, and so the speaker is right to clarify things because they actually passed that particular bill, and so the responsibility now is left for the Narcotics Control Board, the Food and Drugs Authority, other state agencies to ensure that people are actually coming to terms with what the bill seeks to achieve.
All right, let's deal with illegal mining, and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has moved to stop the pollution of the Black Volta. The Lands and Natural Resources Ministry says it has intensified security operations in the Savannah region to ward off illegal miners and prevent further pollution of the Black Volta. The ministry is concerned about the effect the pollution of the Black Volta can have on critical infrastructure like the Buipa and Akosombo dams, show the activities of illegal miners continue. Citi News' Ashanti regional correspondent Hafiz Tijani reports.
Pictures of how the Black Volta has been polluted by activities of illegal miners recently emerged on social media. The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources swiftly responded and collaborated with the armed forces to deploy military officers to the area. Deputy Lands and Natural Resources Minister George Mirakuduka tells journalists security operations have been strengthened in the area to protect the Black Volta.
We organized a RESEC immediately to zero into the place. They did recce, and the report that we received, they have been able to arrest some 1 or 2 people. Lots of champagne machines were burnt or decommissioned, and we've also tasked the Operation Hall 2 to be patrolling. As such, yesterday, we had a helicopter that was going along the banks of the Black Volta, and we believing that it will be secured with the effort that we've put in place. I may not be able to put across our modus operandi, but I can reassure Ghanaians that we are in touch with the security agencies and we'll make sure that Black Volta is protected.
Mr. Duka led officials from the Minerals Commission to launch community mining schemes at Mosiaso Abransi, Bangkok Camp, and Yaokrom Asaman, all in the Amansia West District in the Ashanti region. He, however, indicates that the ministry continues to formulate policies to regulate the mining sector and should not be entirely blamed for the destruction caused to the environment.
However, we've tasked the Ghana Geological Survey Authority to demarcate areas that are feasible for the community mining, and we're also asking mining companies to cede off part of their concessions also to support this concept. The belief is that when we're able to do this, we can move most of the recalcitrants on the river bodies and other illegal areas to the community mining. That's why we are creating alternative livelihood. The alternative livelihood must befit the expectations. Because if you're saying that somebody who has been seeing money, who has been seeing gold, and you ask him to go into some kind of trade.
Let's stop doing this to ourselves. Just a few people in their own greed and selfish interest wanting to enrich themselves. I mean, you are destroying everything. You are gaining at the expense of everyone else. It makes no sense. And I think we should be tougher on some of these people and some of these actions.
And with this particular story, what troubles me actually is that it's going to have an impact on power generation because of where the Black Volta finds itself. And so there are fears that if care is not taken, it will have, some rippling effect on, the Bui Dam and also the Akoso Dam. Already there are fears that, well, if care is not taken, Galamsey is actually going to, affect our water. And now it's electricity or power. At the time, even IPPs are struggling to get their monies from government, threatening, imminent power crisis and all that. And it's funny how Galamsey appears to be destroying all facets of, our socio-economic lives, from water to food to electricity. I mean, every single human activity is being threatened by, the activities of illegal miners. And like we were saying earlier this week, it's no longer a bread and butter issue. No. Reason which authorities must actually find the alternative livelihoods for some of these persons engaged in these illegal activities who do not have an idea, who do not have a clue as to how devastating the effects will actually be.
Well, while at it, we should stop behaving like the ostrich and burying our head in the sand and thinking that everything else is okay out there. We know the dangers we are facing. Listen, I am fully convinced that they know who to go after if really they want to tackle Galamsey.
Remember that meeting that was held in the Ashanti region, chiefs, traditional leaders, authorities, government, President Akufo-Addo, especially a president who said that, well, he's going to put his presidency on the line to fight this particular menace. He just has a year left to leave office, and really we have not been able to put a finger on one particular, intervention that has actually yielded the positive results as far as this fight is concerned. I mean, it's really problematic for us as a nation.
I mean, listen to the Deputy Minister. It's fine that you are finding alternative livelihoods for these persons engaged in the illegal mining. But you see, that small boy in that village there, I keep saying this, he has no money to buy an excavator. We heard the minister himself in Parliament saying they had put tracking devices on 68 excavators. Come on. 68. We arrested how many I went to put at Denton. When we woke up, how many of them were missing? It's like they are toying with our future, and it's not fair. It's not fair.
I get
Well,
your
I mean,
frustration,
somebody
and
needs
this
to
is the
sit up
frustration
and
of
deal
every
with this
Ghanaian.
issue
Once
and for all. Now we are in the black voter, really. It's not enough that we've destroyed the PRA and others.
Cobra.
We are in the black voter. I mean, let's be serious as a country. Somebody's greed
we should be mindful
should not be
future.
affecting the rest of us, our health, the future of our children. I mean, look at the children in these areas. They are posting symptoms of abnormal ailments, and it doesn't make any sense.
Posterity is there to judge us all if you are not able to fight this particular canker.
We know who is responsible for what in this country. Let's go after these persons and let's put an end to this so we can all go back to the beautiful Ghana in Chroma and Visage for all of us. But yes, thank you so very much, Nilate.
It has been an interesting one.
Of course. Many thanks to you for joining us here on CNR Extra. My name is Nana Tufo Boateng. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned to Citi TV.